This is the Volvo EX90. It's the biggest, most luxurious and most powerful car Volvo has ever made. It's also the most high-tech electric car Volvo has ever built. So, should you cancel your order for a Tesla Model X or a Mercedes EQS SUV and get one of these instead? Well, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about this car because I'm Matt Watson and you're watching Car Wow. Buy, sell,
Car Wow.
The old Volvo XC90 was a very smart-looking vehicle. It was stylish, but understated. In other words, it was very, very Swedish. And this new EX90 follows the same pattern, although it does get a few very important new features. If this was a German car, like a BMW iX, it would probably come with a huge fake grille at the front. But that's not Volvo's style. Instead, the EX90 comes with a very smooth minimalist front bumper. I reckon it strikes a good balance between looking too fussy, like a BMW iX does, and too plain, like a Tesla Model X does. From the side, the new EX90 borrows some design features from other Volvos. The overall silhouette is very similar to the current XC90, so it looks nothing like the smooth egg-shaped Mercedes EQS SUV. The Volvo has flush door handles like on that car though, but the creases on the bottom of the doors look very similar to the ones on the XC40. Volvo hasn't given the EX90 any back trim around the wheel arches, the kind that some SUVs have to make them look bigger and tougher. Instead, the car has some subtle creases that make the wheel arches look slightly bigger than they actually are. Volvo hasn't gone overboard with fiddly design details at the back either. The new brake lights loop around the Volvo badge, and there are some illuminated stripes on each side of the boot lid too. All the angles have been squared off and levelled out. Now it looks even more upright and stately than the old car, almost like it was drawn by an architect instead of a car designer. But what do you think? Do you like the look of the new Volvo EX90, or would you prefer something a little bit more outlandish like the BMW iX? I'll put a pinned comment below this video so you can vote on your favourite electric luxury SUV, the Volvo EX90, the BMW iX or the Mercedes EQS SUV. Volvo has a knack of making smart-looking interiors that come with some fairly unusual materials. Take the V60 for example. You can get that car with dashboard trims made out of reclaimed driftwood. Well, the EX90 is also doing its bit for the planet. Its interior is made using 50 kilograms of recycled plastic and loads of renewable natural materials. But don't go thinking it's going to look like some kind of hippie commune on the inside though. The backlit wood trims are lovely and everything has loads of effortless Swedish cool. The waterfall style dashboard comes with a portrait infotainment system like the old XC90, but the overall design is even more pared back. The full width air vent is a neat touch and you control almost everything through the central touchscreen. Now I'm going to tell you more about that in a bit. You can bet the seats will be immensely comfortable too if recent Volvos are anything to go by. And the front headrests come with built-in speakers for the Bowers & Wilkins stereo upgrade. All very nice. Volvo and Tesla were some of the first manufacturers to give their cars massive portrait touchscreens. Tesla's now switched to landscape screens for its latest cars, but Volvo has stuck to its guns and given the new EX90 a 15-inch portrait touchscreen. Not only that, you also get a small driver's display just behind the steering wheel. This layout looks pretty similar to what you get in a Ford Mustang Mach-E. You get wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and the EX90 has built-in 5G internet connectivity, so you can download extra apps directly onto the car's infotainment system. Speaking of which, you can get a Volvo app for your phone that lets you unlock the car without using a key. The new Volvo EX90 comes with two electric motors as standard. One drives the front wheels and the other drives the rear wheels, meaning that this SUV is all-wheel drive. Combined, the two motors make 408 horsepower and 770 Nm of torque in entry-level models. That's almost the same power, but much more torque than you got in the old Polestar-tuned XC90 T8. But the XC90 is old news now. So how does the EX90 compare to the next generation of electric SUVs? Well, the most basic version of this new Volvo has 48 more horsepower than a Mercedes EQS SUV 450, and it also has 82 more horsepower than an entry-level BMW iX40. That's not all though, because performance versions of the X90 get beefed up motors that produce a combined 517 horsepower. That's 6 horsepower less though than you get in a 523 horsepower BMW iX50. It's also 27 horsepower less than you get in a flagship Mercedes EQS SUV 580. That car has 544 horsepower. Anyway, despite being outgunned by the Germans, the X90 is still the most powerful Volvo ever built. But how do all these numbers stack up in the real world? Well, the quickest new Volvo EX90 can accelerate from 0 to 62 miles an hour in 4.9 seconds. That's 0.3 of a second slower than a BMW iX50 and the Mercedes EQS SUV 580. Both of those cars can do 0 to 62 miles an hour in 4.6 seconds. However, I haven't even mentioned the BMW iX M60. That car has 619 horsepower and it can do 0 to 62 miles an hour in just 3.8 seconds. Still, you can't argue the fact that the Volvo is still pretty quick. However, it's not the fastest car in terms of top speed. It's actually limited to 112 miles an hour in the name of safety, just like all new Volvos are. Speaking of safety, the new Volvo EX90 comes with some brand new technology designed to help prevent accidents. Firstly, there's the eye-tracking cameras to monitor how long you spend looking at the road ahead. It also monitors your steering inputs to tell if you're getting tired or distracted. This Big Brother approach means the EX90 can slow the car down and stop by the side of the road if it thinks that you've fallen asleep. That's not the only new feature. The bulge on the EX90's roof might look like the light on a taxi, but it houses the car's LiDAR sensors. These improve its ability to spot objects in the road ahead at high speeds and in the dark, handy during long Swedish winters. Volvo says this means the EX90 is the first car it's ever built that has all the hardware needed for fully autonomous driving in the future. But there's more, including an interior radar system that scans the cabin after you leave the car. Why on earth does it do this? Well, stats from the US government show that more than 900 children have died since 1998 because they've been accidentally left behind in hot cars. Volvo's new system is so sensitive it can tell if a person is breathing inside the car after the driver has got out. If it detects someone inside, it'll notify you when you try to lock the doors. The car can also switch on its climate control system if it thinks someone's been left behind. Volvo says this will reduce the risk of hypothermia or heat stroke for someone who's been left inside the car. The system can even monitor the boot to check whether you've left a pet unattended in there as well. There isn't actually much choice out there if you want an electric car with room for 7 people. There are a few van-like MPVs, but what if you fancy something a bit posher? Well, you're only left with the Mercedes EQB, the EQS SUV, and the Tesla Model X. But now you can add the Volvo EX90 to your list. Yep, this new car is a proper 7-seater like the old XC90 was. If you don't need to carry 7 people, you can fold all the back seats down and you'll have enough space to store 1,915 litres of literage. That's 59 more litres of literage than in the current XC90. But it's 185 litres less literage than you can squeeze into a Mercedes EQS SUV. So that is still top of the charts in terms of litres. Unlike that car though, the EX90 does get a front boot and there's enough space in there to carry all your charging cables and a small bag, or alternatively, some more litres. All versions of the new Volvo EX90 come with a 107 kWh battery. However, the battery in the Mercedes EQS is 1 kWh larger. It's 108 kWh. Still, the Volvo's battery pack is a touch larger than that in the BMW iX, which is 105 kWh. But does size really matter? Isn't it what you do with it that counts? And the new EX90 can drive for around 373 miles on a full charge. How does that compare with other posh SUVs? Well, it's further than a Tesla Model X long range can manage. That is supposed to be able to do 348 miles, and the Volvo can eke out a few more miles than the Mercedes EQS SUV 450. That car's claimed range is 366 miles according to Mercedes, but the new EX90 can't quite match the range of the BMW iX50. That is supposed to be able to do 391 miles on a full charge. Speaking of which, you can charge the EX90 from 10 to 80% full in as little as 30 minutes using fast public chargers. That charging rate is on a par with other luxury SUVs, but the Volvo offers something they don't: bi-directional charging. This lets you use the EX90's battery to power other things. I'm not just talking about running a microwave or a coffee machine. The Volvo EX90 has the hardware required to power your whole house. This feature isn't quite ready yet, but Volvo plans to roll it out in certain markets soon, and it reckons it could help you save some serious cash. In the future, you'll be able to use the car's leftover battery to run your house during peak energy times, when the cost of electricity is more expensive. Then you can recharge the car's battery at night when the energy prices are lower. You could even plug it into another electric Volvo to help stranded drivers get home. Well, if you're feeling generous. The new Volvo EX90 will go on sale in the UK very soon. Entry-level twin-motor versions will set you back £96,255, which is about £13,000 more than a top specification XC90 plug-in hybrid costs today. You'll need to fork out even more if you fancy the twin-motor performance model. That'll set you back just over £100,000. That sounds like a lot, and it is, but it's about the same price as you'll pay for a BMW iX50, and it's almost £30,000 less than a Mercedes EQS SUV 450.